What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and want to wish you a very happy legal tampering period. Not quite, actually. I'm putting this video together. Today is Monday, March 13th. It is 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Again, at the time that I'm recording this, we'll keep you updated all throughout the week, all throughout the day. Of course, make sure you subscribe here to our YouTube channel because it is a busy week across the NFL. The legal tampering period opens today on Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time, so it is still not technically open once again at the time that I'm putting this video together. And what does that mean? Once the legal tampering window opens, teams are allowed to talk to players. Teams are allowed to say, hey, you want to play for us? We'll offer you this much money. You can agree to terms, but nothing, of course, can become official until the new league year begins, which happens on Wednesday, March 15th at 3 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, a very busy week, so subscribe. We'll keep you updated. Make sure you're checking out bloggingtheboys.com for everything you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys, not just this week, but all the time. But since it is free agency week, since we are hopelessly romantic around here, we have put together a list of 10 players who we would love to see the Dallas Cowboys target in free agency. Now, it's worth mentioning that about an hour before I'm putting this video together, ESPN's Todd Archer, NFL Network's Jane Slater, the Dallas Morning News' Michael Gelkin, the most plugged-in NFL insiders when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, noted in different reports that the Cowboys are not expected to be active in the first wave of free agency. This is not shocking. This is par for the course. The Cowboys love to kind of sit back, relax, wait, let everybody else spend big money. And I don't have the biggest problem with that. I don't think, and I don't think you think, that the Cowboys need to be throwing around money needlessly. However, there are certainly some things that we would love to see, some positions we would love to see them address, some players we would love to see them bring in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Now, again, list of 10 players. I'm open to anything. I can be talked into anything here. These are just names to get conversations going. If you have thoughts, questions, concerns, criticisms, agreements, disagreements, any sort of recipes, because I just ordered a pellet grill, I would love to hear them. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. You can send me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or leave a comment down below. This is the number one player I want for the Dallas Cowboys in terms of traditional free agency. Now, we can see, of course, NFL teams trade for players. In fact, we've already seen that on Sunday. The Miami Dolphins agreed to trade for cornerback Jalen Ramsey. So we're talking about players who are likely or going to be or already on the open market. Patrick Peterson, the Cowboys are clearly going to have a need in all likelihood in terms of their outside corner opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Patrick Peterson, I know he's on the wrong side of 30, but quietly one of the more underrated players in the NFL last year. He's played 2 seasons for the Minnesota Vikings. I know that a lot of people want to see him kick out to safety at this point in his career, but he's still playing very well as far as corners are concerned. We don't know what the cornerback situation is going to look like for the Cowboys. We sit here and we talk about, and we laud them for being a great drafting team, and they are a great drafting team, but it was just 2 years ago when the Cowboys spent 2 day 2 picks, their second-round pick and a third-round pick, at the cornerback position on Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright, and we can't trust them here 2 years later. So the Cowboys missed there, I think it's fair to say. So go address that issue. Bring in somebody like Patrick Peterson. I would certainly love to see that personally. That is my number one favorite target possibility for the Cowboys. When you involve practicality, when you involve need, when you involve things that make sense. Again, I would love to see the Cowboys add on the offensive side of the ball. I hope you understand my point. Next up, while we stick on defense, the Cowboys, if they lose Leighton Vander Esch, that is a very important if, and it does seem like they're trying to keep Leighton around, they're going to have a need at linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds is a hot name to know, a name that makes some sense, as is, of course, Levante David, and who could forget Bobby Wagner. The Cowboys, like I said, this is only going to become a conversation if Leighton Vander Esch is not back with the Dallas Cowboys, and it is very possible that Leighton priced himself out of Dallas's range with the way he played last season. He was obviously one of the more important defenders on the team, and so if the Cowboys lose Leighton, who are your linebackers? That's my question. And you cannot count Micah Parsons because we all know that Micah is more of a pass rusher. So you're relying on Damone Clark. You're relying on Jabril Cox. If you bring Luke Gifford back and now you're playing him, you're giving him defensive snaps, that's what you're doing. You have to have some sort of plan in place. And while I love Leighton Vander Esch and I want to see him return to the Cowboys, and I think you agree with that, the Cowboys do not have to spend, right? We just went over 3 names in Tremaine Edmonds, Levante David, and Bobby Wagner who could come in and kind of be that option. Now, there's a lot to Leighton. There's a lot of pros. There's the familiarity. There's the fact that he's playing very well right now. But the Cowboys, there is a surplus of sorts at that position as far as free agency. So we do not want to see the Cowboys overspend to keep Leighton Vander Esch around. Just something to consider. As we move on, though, the Cowboys are obviously going to need to replenish things on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's where everybody has the biggest questions. Who are going to be your star playmakers? Who are going to be your explosive playmakers? We know that Tony Pollard's going to be back, at least on the franchise tag. We, of course, know that CeeDee Lamb is a part of the mix. Michael Gallup, we'll see if the Cowboys restructure his deal. They did restructure the deals of Dak Prescott and Zach Martin to create some salary cap space. The Cowboys have, at present time, $14.7 million in salary cap space. So they do have enough to kind of play around if they really want to. And do they want to add somebody on offense? The name that just will not go away, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I think at this point in the conversation, you or I, actually, by the way, let's take a pause here because I'm putting this video together, like I said, at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I just saw a tweet on my other monitor here from NFL Network's Jane Slater. Let's put this image back on the screen. Jane tweeting out, goodness, the tweet flew away from me. Here we go. Jane's tweet reads, I can confirm the Cowboys have had what is described as initial conversations with linebacker Bobby Wagner, but this is once again a does the money and value make sense situation for both parties per a source informed. That is going to be the conversation all week long. I understand that we're going to get frustrated. I understand that things are going to be annoying, but it is always going to be about the price, about the longevity, about guaranteed money. It has to make sense for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not saying that that is a philosophy that I love or I agree with, but we have to acknowledge what truth is and what reality is when it comes to this team. So why are there initial conversations with Bobby Wagner? That would be a question that I have. Do you feel like you might lose Leighton Vander Esch? Are you just doing your due diligence? Are you making sure that you're prepared if Leighton is not a part of your team in 2023? That is a fair question. But moving on, Odell Beckham Jr., the Cowboys have to add. Today is Monday, and we're going to have videos for you all week long. We're, of course, going to have our roundtable show for you on Tuesday night here. That is a live show that we do that starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. And if we get to Friday, if we get to episode 5 of our Madden franchise series that we're running here, and the Cowboys have not added a wide receiver in some way, shape, or form, then I do think that that is, in a relative way, a failure. You cannot end this week when we are going to see movement all across the NFL, the top tier movement as far as free agents are concerned, and obviously there's going to be some trades. You cannot end this week with your crew the way it is. You just can't. You can't bet on Michael Gallup returning to form, and that might happen, but you cannot bet on that. This team is too close. The opportunity is too great. The moment is too critical for you to bet on that. So I think we all want to see the Cowboys add a significant playmaker to their wide receiver group. Odell Beckham Jr., I think, fits that bill. You want to bring in Adam Thielen? I'm totally fine with that. At this point, and I've said this many different times to many different friends, many different shows, things that I've done so far over the last few weeks, I hate to lower the bar, but, and I like Adam Thielen. This isn't, I hate to kind of, let me get him off the screen. I don't mean to paint Adam Thielen in this light, but I'm not grading, I'm not handing out letter grades right now. I'm not here to say, you know what, Cowboys, A effort, B effort, C effort. No, this is a pass-fail course that I am teaching here. Do something. Show some activity. Show a sign of life. Show a pulse, and I will pass you. My class, all you have to do, you know, like, do you ever have a class or a whatever, whether in high school, college, or something like that, and your teacher, like on syllabus, they would say, look, my class is easy. If you show up, you'll pass. That's really how I feel. like if you show up in my class here, Dallas Cowboys, you will pass this course. My bar is very low. And I think that needs to be said. I'm willing to give, and I think we all should be, I'm willing to give the Cowboys a small benefit of the doubt, a very small, because I have hated on them a lot. And I know a lot of us have, and about the way they go about free agency and how they drag their feet. In case you do not remember, they were the last team in the NFL 1 year ago to sign an external veteran free agent. What does that mean? It means when NFL teams this week last year, when they were signing free agents who were veterans, not rookies, right? When they were signing veterans, the Dallas Cowboys were the last team to sign a player who was not on their team the year before. Literally every single team in the NFL got new blood before the Dallas Cowboys did, and it was James Washington who finally broke the seal for the Dallas Cowboys. So just do something. The bar is very, very, very low. Now, this name that I'm about to throw out is just an interesting name. I'm not super attached, but the Cowboys are going to lose Dalton Schultz in free agency in all likelihood. Hayden Hurst is a name to know. Obviously has a very personal connection to Dak Prescott. I'm not saying that this is, something I really, really, really care about, but you have to find some production at tight end. I would much rather 10 out of 10 times rather pay big for a playmaking tight end than spend a first-round draft pick on one, which we have seen the Cowboys connected to over the last few weeks. So I do not want to see that. Again, just a name to kick around some conversation. Robert Tonyan obviously has some Green Bay ties. We all know Mike McCarthy, blah, blah, blah. The Cowboys are going to need a tight end, right? They cannot go at this with just Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, and Sean McEwen. So in all likelihood, the Cowboys are going to need a tight end of some way, shape, or form. Last subject for me, kind of a simple one. Kind of a mundane one, but an important one nonetheless, especially for our team, right? Last year, Dak Prescott hurt his thumb, fractured his thumb, and had to miss 5 games. And shout out to Cooper Rush forever for being able to go 4-1 in that stretch. But we all thought that was impossible, right? We all thought there was no way the Cowboys would even win 2 games in that stretch. And Cooper Rush deserves a lot of credit. And I'm very interested to see what his sort of going rate is on the open market. He is set to be a free agent. But if the Cowboys do lose Cooper Rush, they will be in need of a backup quarterback. And what I do not want to see is the Cowboys treat this in a very cavalier way. I have said this for years. You cannot have a Cooper Rush be your backup quarterback. I recognize how stupid that sounds right now, but that worked out. You were the exception, Dallas Cowboys, in 2022. I love when teams approach backup quarterback like you are the vice president, right? Like you are one moment away from being the most important person with regards to your team. And so that being said, my favorite archetype of a backup quarterback is a young quarterback who has obviously moved on from a first team or a second team or whatever, but who has some starts under their belt, who has seen some things, right? That was our hesitancy with Cooper Rush, was that he was so deep into his NFL career and he had one career start to his name, right? He had no real NFL action. And again, it happened to work out. But my favorite archetype is somebody who has been there, done that, who a team is able to acquire for one reason or another. So that being said, we don't have any doubt that Dak Prescott is the franchise quarterback of this team. So if you're going to bring in a backup quarterback, I have 2 names for you. You're going to have to pay a little bit, but it's an important position, so you should consider doing so. Gardner Minshew. This was actually the name that I have assigned to the archetype. At the time when the Eagles traded for Gardner Minshew 2 years ago, I loved it because Gardner obviously had a lot of games that he started for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They drafted Trevor Lawrence. They obviously moved on from him. That is somebody who, when he had to play, right, because Jalen Hurts got hurt, he had experience. He knew what it was like. He had been in the NFL before. And obviously things didn't work out for Gardner with the Eagles this past season, but we all remember the game the Cowboys played against him. He played very, very, very well. So I would love for the Cowboys to have Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback. And in a similar way, I know that a lot of people are probably not going to support this. Baker Mayfield. Now, we're putting this video together on Monday. It's been reported that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be interested in Baker, so he's probably not going to be available. But you get my point. I want to see the Cowboys approach somebody like that, somebody who has starting NFL experience. It's just the way it goes. I loved 3 years ago when the Cowboys signed Andy Dalton. I thought that was the perfect kind of same sort of thing, right? A young quarterback who had a lot of career starts. And I know it didn't work out with Andy, with the Cowboys in 2020, but that was due to a lot of extenuating circumstances. I hope you get my point. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok, rj.ochoa. You can send me an email if you would like, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment down below. Let's have a good week. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time.